Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Rudy Altamirano. I'm the Director of the International Student Scholar Services. This is fourth day of Forerunner. Today, we will be hearing from our global Penn alumni, people who were in your shoes years ago. Some of them graduated years ago. Some of them graduated just recently. So we will have a very diverse group of people and perspectives. We are bringing the alumni so that they can share their perspectives to you, their experience at Penn, and of course, to provide some words of wisdom. I will be introducing them one by one, and they will say hi to you so that you can engage with them. Please, if you have questions for our alumni group, please put them in the Q&A, and we will be more than glad to ask those questions and field those inquiries to your fellow Penn students. Okay, let's introduce our alumni. The first one is Joseph Chan. Okay, Joseph is dual bachelor's degree from Penn, Wharton, and SAS in 1991. Joseph is the chief legal officer at Yum China, a $20 billion Fortune 500 company listed on the NYSE. A member of the senior leadership team, he counsels management and the board, oversees the company's legal, governance, risk management, and compliance functions, and participates in formulating and executing corporate strategy. Joseph, say hi to our students.
Hello, hi everyone.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you,
We're
Rudy.
very happy to have you Joseph is beaming live from Shanghai. Next one is Sriya Gupta. Sriya is an arts and sciences class of 2017, recent grad, majoring in psychology and a double minor in consumer psychology and religious studies. Sriya is now based in New Delhi, India, and works in sales and marketing. She also serves on the board of the Penn Club of Delhi. Sriya, say hi to our new students.
Hi,
from
everyone.
India.
Nice
Thank
to
you,
see you all.
Sriya. Appreciate it. Next one is Mavish Ilyas. Mavish graduated from the Department of Earth and Environmental Science with a master's degree in environmental policy, management, and business in 2018. Also a recent grad. She's originally from Lahore, Pakistan. Mavish, say hi. Mavish is also a former chair of the International Student Advisory Board at Penn. Mavish, say hi to our new students.
Hello, everyone. Good morning from Philadelphia.
Yeah, Mavish served the International Student Advisory Board as graduate chair and spearheaded the initiative of forming thematic teams within the board to address the most pressing issues faced by the international students. Another one who is also an International Student Advisory Board grad chair, former grad chair, is Henderson Wadembo. He's a part of the Wharton class of 2020. The most recent grad here. Henderson was born in Kenya, and he currently works in investment banking in New York City. He was feted as this year's honorable mention recipient, graduate category of the Penn Global Student Citizenship Award. Henderson, say hi to our students.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
Thank you. Margot Newberger is next. Arts and Sciences class of 2012. Margot began her career at Goldman Sachs in the investment banking division, where she worked for 5 years in New York and London. She has since worked in investor relations for a private equity firm and business development and marketing, and for a boutique asset management firm. Margot, say hi to our new incoming freshmen and new graduate students.
Good morning. Welcome, students.
From London, right, Margot? Are you from London? Where are you now based, Margot?
I'm in London right now.
Wow,
A very
look
sunny
at that.
day here.
Yeah, we're all over the world. Next one is Tulani Zibedze. Now, last but not the least, Engineering and Applied Sciences class of 2015. Tulani is from the Kingdom of Swaziland and spent 8 wonderful years at Penn, both as a student and research engineer. He was also part of the Penn World Scholars Program at Penn. Tulani, say hi to everyone.
Hey everyone, good morning.
Hi Tulani, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Nevada, Reno right now.
From Reno, Nevada. Okay, there you go. So we met our panelists. If I may ask all the panelists to turn all your microphones so that we can all see your wonderful faces on screen so that we can start our panel interview. Okay, so here's the format, students. I'll be asking questions directed to a particular alumni, Penn alumni, and they will be providing a response to that. Later on, if we have time, I might follow up with a lot of questions from our Penn alumni, and also, of course, rely on what you put in the Q&A. So we'll start with Shreya. Shreya, here's for you.
Yes, hi.
If you could relive your Penn experience again, what would you do differently?
That's actually a great question. I feel like if I could relive my Penn experience, I would do it in a heartbeat. Best 4 years of my life. Things I would do differently would broadly fall under, I'd say, two categories. One within the classroom or academic, and one outside. Within the classroom, I mean, we all know Penn has fantastic faculty. I had the opportunity to take classes and hear lectures from Dr. Martin Seligman, founder of positive psychology, Dr. Adrian Rain, like leading personality in criminology, Dr. Adam Grant. They're amazing, amazing people in their own field. Penn offers you a chance to, to further that relationship and to further that learning by taking your professor out to lunch, by doing research with them. I don't think I took as much advantage of these resources as I could have. So that is something I would definitely do more of. Moreover, even within the classroom, the format of classes is very diverse. So I remember attending one class called an ABCS course, which is academically based community service. You can go into Philadelphia, work with a school, work with a shelter, and then come back and study your experiences, learnings. So learning in different formats, engaging more with professors is something I would have definitely wanted to engage in more. And in terms of outside the classroom, Penn has a very wide variety of student clubs and student organizations. I feel like I tried some amount of it. I did try the Quidditch club once, which was a really fun experience. But beyond that, there is just so much that Penn has to offer. And I really wish that I could go back and kind of do, new clubs, new learning, new experiences, and engage more in even the traditions of Penn. So it makes you feel like you're a part of something much greater and much bigger. And for me, that was amazing. And I just wish I could have engaged in that more. And if I could relive my experience, that's exactly what I would have done.
Very good, Shreya. So engaging more. Now let me throw that same question, and this will be random. I'll ask Tulani the same question, because you didn't expect that that'll be your question. So Tulani, what will you do to relive your Penn experience? Again, what we do differently? Not the same as Shreya's answer. Go for it. We cannot hear you. I think, yeah, go for it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, can we hear it now? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's almost similar to what Shreya is saying, but I think for me, I was very closed off when I came to Penn. I'm a very introverted person, and it took me time to actually gel in. And I think if I were to go back, I would definitely be more outgoing and be able to meet more people. And then secondly, I was very, so it wasn't the learning culture is different. So the way I was interacting with my professors was kind of different. So they were like sort of a power figure that I was not very comfortable with. But it took some time to actually realize that, they are there to help you with your education experience. So one of the things I would do is like interact a lot more with faculty and then start research as early as I can. Because, Penn has a lot of research experiences, and, the interdisciplinary research is one of the greatest that I think is available. So being able to have that experience would actually help. So after I graduated, I started working there. And we had some freshmen actually in the lab that would come and do this research, and it was always very exciting to see their journey, like how they come and how they leave after they actually have this experience. So that's one thing I would actually do a lot more.
Thank you, Tulani. Now, Henderson, this is for you.
Yes.
All work and no play is not a healthy lifestyle. And you will agree to that because I
Yep.
know you were a fun guy when I know you at Penn. What did you do in order to balance schoolwork with fun and other student activities?
Uh, Thanks, Rudy. I think I agree with the sentiment that all work, no play is obviously not ideal. And speaking, agreeing with the previous speakers, there's a lot of activities that when you come to Penn, that you actually have access to. So being very thoughtful about, at the beginning of your journey, what do I want to achieve this quarter? So there are quarters where career objectives will be the primary objective you'll be following. The quarters where you would want to pursue more fun activities, more social activities, but being very thoughtful a priori. So for graduate students, for example, most graduate programs are more than 1 year, and I normally would advise that thinking or just creating a checklist that I want to meet. For example, I want to meet people from another school. If you're a graduate student, the 12 graduate schools in Penn. So at least I want to meet people from other schools. I want to have a friend from a different country, a different continent. I want to attend a club that is involved in an activity that I'm not particularly, I've never done or particularly drawn to. So that sort of expands your experience of things that you would do. So having that clear, thoughtful plan at the beginning of every semester or every quarter is one way of going about it. I also think during the semester, have the ability of assessing whether how well you're doing with your sort of objectives, and if you'd set out to do certain things and you're not doing well, time to recalibrate. Penn has a way of becoming extremely involving, especially with academics, and it can be a very stressful environment, and taking care of your mental health, your social health, having that community environment is particularly important. And I would suggest that you actually schedule time to sort of recalibrate. So set out time to say I'll have a dinner every week with at a different restaurant of a different cuisine from where I'm from for international students. So the good thing about Penn is, or the Philadelphia for that matter, the great Ethiopian restaurants you won't believe in Philly, the great Thai, the great Filipino restaurants. So having the ability of just trying, making very concrete efforts to go beyond what's comfortable for you will be, will create a very enriching experience. And trust me, one thing I would say that I did in Penn, which was very enriching, was I'm a huge classical music fan, and I tried to attend one of a classical music player called Andre Rieu, who runs the Johann Strauss Orchestra in Europe. I'd been in London before, and I could not get his tickets in Europe. Luckily enough, my first month in Philadelphia, he actually performed at the Wells Fargo Institutes. And so being aware of those kind of things beyond just in the Philadelphia community is great. So that's my little story. So I'm very grateful to Philadelphia for at least giving me a chance to listen to Andre Rieu live or seeing him perform live together with his Johann Strauss Orchestra.
Thank
Hope
you,
that answers your
Henderson.
question, Rudy.
Yes, very good. So, Tulani, you're next. Can you provide an example of a mistake you made or time that you failed during your Penn experience and how that impacted you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Trying to verify. Yeah, so I think one of the mistakes that I made was during my senior year. So we have to do the senior design project if you're in engineering, basically, which is a capstone project for everything that you've done. So I was too eager to have this nice final product that I actually forgot about my friends. So one of the advice that people give you when you do this project is that you don't want to be on it with your friends because you're going to lose friends when it comes to working with them. But I found it was the other way around. So these are people I have never necessarily worked with in the 4 years. So it was the first time I worked with them. And I was very, very eager to get a good product. And in the end, I think I rubbed a lot of my classmates the wrong way. So I think the last couple of months are actually not very great because of that, And if I were to go back, I would certainly, try to find a balance. I think that was the main takeaway. And after that, because I spent an extra year, I was a lot more good with finding balances with working with people that are different. Because when you're working in teams, there are certainly going to be differences. And at that time, I had adopted that, it's either my way or the highway, and that was a terrible idea. So
Okay, I like this question a lot. So I would like to have a volunteer to answer, another volunteer. Now I'm not calling on people because this is a story that you want to share. Any one of you who wants to answer that same question that Tulani responded to? An example of a mistake that you made, because we learn from mistakes. We succeed because of our mistakes. Of lessons learned. Anyone wants to answer that question? Or no one
I
made
can answer
mistakes?
it.
Go
Yeah,
for
I
it.
can answer
Yes,
it.
Rhea.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
slightly different than a mistake I made. But so during my time at Penn, I worked very closely with the College Dean's Advisory Board. And during my junior year, we had to each, do a project of sorts. Junior year, first semester was a little difficult for me because I had a friend at Penn who wasn't doing too well in terms of their health. So I was spending a lot of time with them, and my studies. I was more distracted. I wasn't as focused. Same time, I realized that a lot of the freshmen coming in, see seniors and juniors as people having their life sorted out, like everything is on track, everything is perfect. But here I was, trying to balance my studies, spend time with a friend of mine who wasn't doing too well. And it almost gave me an idea to work on my project for the College Dean's Advisory Board, which ended up being something called Deconstructing the Penn Face, which was actually a perfect fit because, everyone comes into Penn, and as a freshman specifically, you assume that all the students who've been there before, 2 years in, 3 years in, have the perfect life because now they are heading student organizations, they are, getting fantastic jobs, they have a great group of friends. But the point of the panel was to get these student celebrities, quote unquote, who were decided by freshmen. So the president of the best organizations, president of leaders in various categories. So we had them come together and talk about the failures they've had and the mistakes they have made. And it was eye-opening because I was just one person who was struggling that one semester, but every person at Penn had a list of failures they had, mistakes they had made, and yet was standing and talking about that and how well they have done despite those mistakes. So I think for me, it was very eye-opening that all of us, even though from the outside we seem that, we have our lives perfectly, boxed up and it's looking great. Everyone has something they've dealt with. So that was one experience for me where how I dealt with it and how the larger community at Penn feels very similarly in that regard.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Any other takers for that question? I'm a big fan of that question. That's why I want to see these words of wisdom come from that type of question because I learn from mistakes every day in my life. So no one else? Okay, let's pass for that then. Let's go to the next question and goes to Joseph. What advice, Joseph, would you give international students about networking? I know with your credentials and your background, I'm sure you did a fabulous job in this area. So what advice would you give international students about networking during and after your time at Penn? So during your time, that's a two-edged question here. During your time at Penn and after your time at Penn.
It's actually a huge question. And that's when I take on put on my cap as an ambassador, one that I would emphasize a lot to potential recruits. And that is the value of networking. The two-pronged question I'll answer while you're on campus first, and then I'll come to the after graduation. Pursue your interest, your passion. if you look at the list of student groups, organizations on campus, by last count, there are at least 200, official, and then you have countless others. In other words, I always tell young students and applicants, pretty much anything you can think of in terms of interest, whether it's cultural, athletic, musical, Anderson mentioned classical music, you name it. There is an affinity group that probably coincides with your interest. Pursue that, get to know people in that arena. But not just that, in your living quarter, I don't know how many of the incoming students will be living in college housing, theme housing, because that's a more program-based, a more intimate setting. But even if you live in a quad, for example, live in Hill House, where you have hundreds of other students, in your immediate surrounding, you actually have a lot of opportunity to know people. One temptation, and I would even say pitfall, if you're not careful, as an international student, is you tend to stay within your comfort zone. And so naturally, you would go to, I come from Hong Kong, Greater China. Naturally, I would go to, people from Hong Kong, and we, we did, had a pretty good number of students from, from Hong Kong at that time, and now, probably from China. My point is, you always go to, within your comfort zone, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? You need support, you need, you want to know people from your country, and that's fantastic. However, my advice is go beyond that, right? Part of the value of pursuing education at Penn is the sheer diversity of the student population. I lose count, but every year I dare say over 100 countries are represented at Penn, the student body, at all levels, right? At the undergrad level, you have hundreds, something like 400 or 500 international students every year, coming to Penn. At the graduate level, even more. And so, I would say two-pronged, right? Pursue your interest, whatever it is, and also try to go outside your comfort zone to get to know people. And the friendships that you make while you're on campus can actually last a lifetime. Coincidentally, I just had everybody is in a lockdown mode. So a month ago or 2 months ago now, we had a Zoom session with all my college buddies from my freshman year just the other day. We're in all four corners of the earth, and we haven't really seen each other in a long time. And well, I'm probably the oldest of the crowd here. 30 years passed by, and we look pretty much the same, still recognizable with, a little less hair and maybe, some white hair here and there. But my point is, the connection is there, because we had such a fabulous time together, even several decades ago. So that's what I would say while you're on campus. Now, once you graduate, my goodness, that's when a lot of the fun continues. Your connection to Penn doesn't stop at Philly. I have the distinct privilege of serving as president of the Penn Club of Shanghai from 2014 to 18, and since then I'm still on the advisory board. And I also have this distinct privilege of serving on the board of the Wharton Club since 2015, and various other connections, with Penn and the alumni base here. So one thing, going to Penn in a sense is, you are, there's the, how do I put it? There's the brand value and a Penn. You belong to the Penn family. And we actually, along with Harvard, have the largest living alumni community among the Ivies, roughly neck to neck in the 330,000 range. That's a lot of people in a global community. And the striking thing about Penn is that the median age is about, in the 30s and early 40s. In other words, pretty young alumni population. That is a tremendous network for you, whether for social engagement, whether for professional connection, you name it. And I'm speaking for China. We have over 1,000 alumni active here in Shanghai, another 1,000 in Beijing, over 1,000 in Hong Kong. Just these three cities, you have over 3,000, and then rising number all over China. So that is a very, very strong networking base. What's the value of that? My goodness, if you're trying to look for a job, there are so many on the, in China we use the WeChat group. So many job offers, job postings, people looking for a job, people looking for connection, alumni, even students from Penn trying to look for, access to certain companies. Pick one, Alibaba. We have an alumnus who is a senior executive at Ali, and so you try to do a research paper, and the request would come, oh, does anybody know anybody at where? Well, guess what? With the large number of alumni, and I dare say many of them are successful, your chances of getting the right connection are very high. So anyway, networking, enormous value. If one thing I were to do better, had I come to Penn today, that's your question earlier, is I would seek to network more. Because at that time I was a shy international student, staying within my comfort zone. Looking back, I missed a lot of opportunities to network with people. So I, fast forward a few decades later, I, try very hard to make up for lost time. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Very, 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 very thoughtful guidance and wisdom here. Mavish, you're next. Mavish, you're ready for me? From a graduate student perspective, how can students get the most value out of the Penn experience? And that's a grad student, because we have the undergrad perspective, but you are a former chair of the Graduate Students Advisory Board. You're very active. You did a fabulous job being the chair of the advisory board. But from a graduate student perspective, how would you, find value, get the most value?
Thank you so much for that question. That is such a great question. And the way I want to approach this question is by proposing a strategy that helped me tremendously. It's like a step-by-step strategy. So the first step really is to create a mission statement for yourself. Ask yourself, what do you want to get out of this graduate degree program? What are your personal and professional career development goals? That's the first step. And for example, your professional goal could be to network more, and your personal goal could be to create a work-life balance. Once you have a mission statement, the second step is to create a roadmap for yourself and think about your journey before you came to Penn, and how Penn can act as a bridge to reach to your next destination, if it's your personal goal or your professional goal. For example, before coming to Penn, I was working for a global organization with a network of 23 countries in Asia Pacific, and I was working to advance sustainability goals within the region. So based on my journey, I knew exactly that at Penn, I'm looking to advance my knowledge when it comes to environmental policies and creating business frameworks for sustainability. So once you have a mission statement and a roadmap, the next step really is to, create a design for yourself. And this would entail everything in terms of your graduate student life experience, the courses you want to take, the activities you want to participate in, the internship you want to take on, and also like other things like the research project that you want for yourself or the capstone. So I'll share a personal experience that based on my mission statement and my roadmap, I was able to design my own degree. So I chose courses from Wharton, from School of Engineering, and also Arts and Sciences to make sure that everything that I'm doing here at Penn aligns with my professional and personal goals. The other thing that is really and tremendously important, and I cannot emphasize this enough, and I know Joseph talked about this already, is to build relationships and choose mentors. Penn is one of the best educational institutions in this world, and the faculty and the staff members here are positioned to help you succeed in life. Tap into their resources to gain from their skill set and from their knowledge base. For example, when I was a grad chair for ISAP, I worked very closely with Ryan and Dr. Altamirano, and I was like a sponge around them. So I used to learn how they manage diverse teams, how they tackle with problems and challenges, and the leadership and the governance that I learned from them. It's helping me now tremendously in my role as a solar projects coordinator with the Philadelphia Energy Authority, where I'm working very closely with the City Council and the Mayor of Philadelphia. And the other thing is that when you build relationships, when you start working with mentors, make sure you hold on to those relationships. So I know that 3 years from now, I went to Bonn, Germany to represent Penn at the COP23 climate change conference. And I'm still in touch with those contracts. I'm still in touch with the friends that I made. So it's very important to hold on to those relationships and those contacts. The other thing is also give yourself some room and flexibility. The world that we're living in right now, there's so many uncertainties. The market is changing, the opportunities are changing. So give yourself some flexibility when it comes to evolving your roadmap and your goals. And reach out to your mentors who would help you navigate through all of these challenges and uncertainties. The other really important thing is to use your graduate student life as a testing field. So activities you participate on campus, for example, if you're doing presentations or if you're working in a group project, monitor yourself, learn from yourself and other people, observe how you're managing and dealing the situations, how you're managing when it comes to dealing with the conflict, or if you have conflicting ideas with your group members, how you're presenting, how you're networking, because you will come across similar experiences when you step into professional life. So the experiences at Penn will mimic what you come across in your actual life and in your professional life. The other thing which is really important and which helped me tremendously is to give back, to make sure that things are coming back to you full circle. So if you come across a resource, or if you learn something, or if you have a network of people or mentors who helped you tremendously, make sure you're sharing those resources with other students as well. Because when you're giving back to the community, to the international student body, that is when you're gaining the most. And that's when you're really enriching and diversifying your experience.
Thank you, Mavish. Very, very comprehensive response to that. Thank you so much. Margot, this is for you as the last but not the least panel member to respond to a question. What campus resources were most useful to you as an international student during your time at Penn?
This is an excellent question, and you students have probably already heard about so many resources, and you will hear about so many more in the coming days and weeks and months that it might even be overwhelming to you how many resources there are for you. I encourage you to be brave and try them and go for it. For me, I think one of the primary resources that I would encourage you to spend time with is I was in the College of Arts and Sciences. I studied the history of art, and I went to the college office. There will be an advising office for Wharton Engineering, the nursing school as well. And for all programs, I imagine there'll be some kind of advisory office and advisory programming. And these people, the advisors who work in these offices, dedicate their days and their careers to helping students figure things out. So you'll be making big decisions. You might feel a bit lost or anxious. I can see in some of the questions that are popping up that there's an understandable amount of anxiety as you look ahead at the next 4 years. I would encourage you, as you think through your big academic decisions, as you think about managing your requirements, your major, selecting minors, how do you fit it in? Study abroad was a big topic. I know at this moment it feels like a very different, and for many of you it is in fact already coming abroad to Penn. But as you think through these questions, know that these advisors are here to help. Their doors are open for you. So that's one thing that I would speak to them. And so do not feel alone, because they're there. The Office of Career Services is another one that I think will be very helpful for many of you. They offer advising, mock interviews. They'll help you with your CV or your resume. And throughout the different affinity groups, cultural groups, student organizations, you will find homes that you may feel like you naturally fit into, or that might be, as some of the other panelists have mentioned, outside of your comfort zone, where you might ultimately feel more at home than you expected.
Thank you, Margot. Appreciate it. For the last question, and then I'll go to our offsite correspondence for the Q&A that we gathered from our portal. I just want to, the question will be surprise. Okay, so you don't know the question, but I want 2 volunteers to respond to this. So I want 2 volunteers to raise their hand who wants to tackle this mystery question. Any volunteers? Now I can see all of you in one. Okay, we have Mavish and with Henderson. The 2, and of course, Joseph. We'll give the 3 of you. Okay, I'll start, ladies first. Like Mavish, because you're the first one to raise your hand. And Mavish, what were some misperception or misconceptions people had about you being an international student? And what would you recommend to our new Penn students about interacting with and educating others in the Penn community about that misconception about you being from Pakistan? Go for it.
That is such an interesting question. So when I came to Penn, a lot of people were really surprised that I was able to communicate in English and that I was like wearing certain type of clothing that they didn't expect me to wear. So I think my response and stance to that was be very patient, and also it is your opportunity to share more about your culture, how diverse it is. And in Pakistan, I had this opportunity to get this education where I learned English and all the degrees that I got. That is the first thing. The other thing is that a lot of students at Penn think because, Penn Global, it has a very strong presence on campus, which is such a great thing, and which talks a lot about the leadership that we have at Penn Global and International Student Scholar Services. But at the same time, a lot of students saying that international students have an easier experience as compared to the local students. So it's really important to engage, everyone in that conversation that these are the challenges we're going to. It's not easy for international students, for example, to file taxes or to get a student loan or to apply for OPT or CPT, and we're struggling so hard when it comes to like creating a healthy work-life balance. So it's really important to like have meaningful, healthy conversations about these misconceptions, not to take anything personally, but look at it as an opportunity for them to learn more about your culture and to open the floor for like meaningful conversations and questions.
Thank you, Mavish. Okay, Henderson, go for it. Coming from
question.
Kenya, what is the misconception about you?
I think easily would be that I can run a marathon in under 2 hours. I can't run to save my life. But I think beyond that, I agree with what Mavish said. It's of these misconceptions are obviously an invitation to showcase your culture. So I happen to have lived across many African countries. I happen to speak French, and alongside other languages. So being able to say that Africa or Kenya, for that matter, has diverse experiences. You're able to do different things. And showcasing that to others. I think most of the misconceptions, people want to learn. I think people are always very willing to learn more about you, and therefore taking an opportunity to just invite conversations about where you come from, share your cuisine, share your music, share your culture. There are very many. There's always a receptive end. I think people are always very eager to indulge and engage with you. I managed to take a class of 40 of my peers to Nairobi and Ethiopia during my stay. That was spring break of last year. Seems so far away now. And they all had a very great experience, and that actually opened their eyes about some of the opportunities in Africa. So now I think a couple of people then started to actually work in Africa, given the interactions they met with some of the business leaders we introduced them to back there. So I think that would be probably my point. It's an invitation to showcase where you're from and correct these misconceptions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anderson. Joseph, end with us, and then we'll go to the Q&A. Yeah.
Sure. I would say is the stereotype that associates with your background, with your race, your ethnicity. So obviously I'm Asian, and together I guess with Asian American, there is a general perception that actually persists to this day, that you are just STEM, you're naturally STEM, STEM, right? Sciences, technology, math, engineering. By virtue of the fact that you are from Hong Kong, now Greater China, you are Asian, you are STEM, right? And I myself actually fell into that trap because virtually all of my friends were either in engineering or at Wharton. And so, but that's why it's important. I mentioned earlier, pursuing your interests, by extension, also your passion. Because while I do okay in math, while I don't dislike physical sciences, that's not my passion. I'm much more a liberal arts kind of guy. Okay, I love history, and so what happened is I want to go back to Martha mentioned one of the things about Penn is the academic freedom, flexibility. I changed my freshman year. I think I changed my intended major no less than 4 times. I was going back and forth. I was influenced by all my friends, including my parents. I should be in engineering. I should be biology because I was going to go to medical.
I think Joseph is trying to give us a wonderful response. For now, we'll just come back to Joseph. So Ryan or Jackie, let's ask a question from the Q&A, and I'll have Joseph finish that sentence later. Okay, let's give him a chance to finish. So Jackie, ask one question from the Q&A. Yes.
Sure. So our first question from the Q&A is going to be, what advice would you give to new students who are stressed out about their academic performance?
Okay. Who wants to answer? Raise your hand. Advice? Yes, Margot. Go for it.
I would say that a few things. One of them is time management. Learn how, and this is not easy, but if you prioritize learning how to manage your time, I think that will go a long way in helping you figure out, do you need a little extra time to prepare for certain exams? How much time do you have to spend in the library? That's sort of one aspect. Another is take advantage of office hours. This, I think, is very much an underutilized offering that professors and TAs have. So all professors and TAs for your classes will have open office hours when you can just go show up with your questions. There are, I think, and students don't take enough advantage of that. You have leaders in their fields who write books, who are interviewed on television, who are at the very forefront of these extraordinary fields. And they have open time that you can just come and speak to them. And sometimes it may be questions about the material where you might be struggling or not understanding something. And other times you might learn something from them that you completely didn't expect to. And that could be more general academic, could be about life. So I would say to really spend as much time as that. And then also within your major, once you've declared your major, get to know the students above you. I was in the advisory board for the history of art major, and students will be more than happy to chat with you about the pitfalls and give you some of their suggestions too. Some things I think.
Thank you, Margot. Thanks a lot. Ryan, another question from the Q&A. Joseph, we might go back to you later. We'll just go for the Q&A session, the questions that were asked, and we might end with you. Okay, so Ryan, do you have a question from the Q&A portal? Go for it.
Yes, we're seeing lots of questions about employment, and so I'm sure our alumni can recall their experience graduating from Penn and finding work. So one question here is about employment. So did your Penn degree help you find a job, for example, more than if you studied at another university? Are employers impressed by a Penn degree? Can you comment on that?
So if you can briefly respond from the questions so that we can cover a lot of the 23 questions that I can see. So did the Penn degree help? And why? Maybe that's yes and why. Who wants to? I'm trying to see anyone else except for Margot, because Margot and Henderson, go for it.
I mean, quickly, yes. Yeah, quickly, in my field, yes. If you know, and it was the most important thing. Now, not only at Joseph's point, not only during while you're in school, but even when you're working as an intern, even when now as a full-time employee, Penn and the Wharton presence in the industry is very comforting. It's very inspiring. It helps you chart your path. It is certainly what keeps you going.
Anyone says no, it did not help me at all. I think no one is saying no. The Penn degree didn't help. Next, Jackie. Another question from the Q&A.
All right, so our next question from the Q&A is advice on how to find a mentor at Penn. Is there a mentorship program? How to approach them as mentors?
Mentorship program. Did you find any mentors? Did you find a formal mentor or just an informal mentor? Who wants to? Yes, Shreya. I'm trying to distribute people. Go for it, Shreya. Respond to that.
Yes, so I think at least when I was applying, I think IAS assigned a mentor to me who was from India and I think was 3 years older than me. So when I was a freshman, she was a senior, which really helped me tremendously. Coming in, she, of course, showed me the basics, like, this is the college office, this is why you go here, these are certain places. But beyond that, because you're leaving your hometown and you're coming to essentially a foreign place, she helped me find, of my favorite spot for Indian food, or for, a festival that is celebrated, we can go here, like for Diwali. So it was very nice. Barring that, IAS was always very open. You can go to them and people want to help. I think that's the main thing about Penn. Even if you were to stop a random person on Locust Walk, they would want to help you. You see many freshmen at Penn wandering around with maps, and I feel people just, want to be there, help you, guide you. It's a very sort of give and take. Apart from my IAS mentor, another mentor who I found helped me tremendously, and I think someone touched on it before, was the college office. So I was in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I went to 2 mentors, in fact. And, one helped me with my major, and one helped me navigate Penn, and, give me suggestions about, professors I must take classes with, student groups, student performances I should hear. So I feel like you can find a mentor wherever you want. It can be in major specific, college specific, university specific. You just have to go ahead and ask, and you'll find enough people willing to help and guide you.
Thank you. Ryan, next question, please, from the Q&A.
Yes. This question is, as an international student, did you ever feel as if you were unaware of a lot of opportunities or falling behind because you weren't well versed about US or Penn culture? For example, extracurricular leadership roles, research opportunities that domestic students quickly pick up.
Is that a very clear question? So basically, are you so Ryan, what is the the salient point of this question? If you don't
As an international student, did you feel as if you were aware of a lot of opportunities or felt like you were falling behind because you weren't as well versed with Penn culture or US culture?
So was it easy to navigate as a Penn student? Was it easy to navigate and explore the opportunities around Penn, or was it you're falling behind? It's so the hustle and bustle prevented you from doing that. Anyone wants to handle? Imavish, go for it. You're right. You're the only one who raised the hand. Go for the question.
Thank you. Well, there's nothing that prevents you, but at the same time, you need to make an active effort to make sure you're reaching out to the right resources on campus to keep yourself up to date with all the resources and opportunities that are available. For example, when I came to US, I had no idea about the job market. I had zero idea how to network and navigate because it's very different from where I come from. So I had to make a very active effort to work closely with Penn Global, with career office, with my academic advisors, with my mentors to educate myself on how to navigate and how to make the best of these opportunities. So I wouldn't say it's a very hard challenge. It's more like an opportunity, but at the same time, it's up to you of how actively you're involved in how well you're equipping yourself and using all the resources that are available to you.
Thank you. And Jackie.
Okay, so the next question we have is, what was your biggest challenge or most frustrating thing you experienced at Penn?
I like that question. Most frustrating and challenge at Penn. Threw you out of the comfort. Yes, Tulani, go for it.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was most of my accent. It was very hard for the first couple of semesters to get people to understand me. So you have to be very patient. So I think, that actually, there are two ways of taking this. One was like, just retreat into your shell and then not talk to people, or just be out there and try to talk as much as you can and make sure like people can understand you. So
You have
that
a
was
beautiful
one of the
accent.
big challenge.
You have
Yeah.
a beautiful accent, Tulani. Yeah, I
Thank
like
you.
it.
Thank you. But yeah, so
So,
when
yeah,
when
yeah.
when you interact with people, just keep that in mind. But I think to me it was an invitation, as Henderson has said, to sort of educate people, let them know how you can talk and.
Thank you. The last question from Ryan. Oh, yeah, is it Ryan? Who asked that question? Is it Ryan, the last one, or Jackie? So go for it. Ryan, it's your turn. And then I'll,
Sure.
I'll ask one quick question from our group.
Sure. Let's see. I want to make it a good one. I would ask this question from a student. Is it true that UPenn is the best Ivy League?
Oh, I like that question. Is UPenn the best Ivy League? And make sure that when you say yes, it's the best, beating all like peers, you have to have a very good answer to that. Is UPenn the best Ivy League school? Tulani's ready, and maybe Margot. So Tulani and Margot, why did you tag team for this one? Quick answers though, because I have
Yes,
one more question
well,
to ask you. Go for it.
academics and the interdisciplinary research, we have a very strong startup environment. And I happen to have a startup that we started with guys from the Penn Medicine School, from engineering and Wharton, and you cannot find that anywhere else. And then secondly, we are the social ivy. So we have Spring Fling, so it's work hard and also play very hard. So I think it's a very nice balance. And we are in Philly, so they have a nice trail you can run, which I enjoyed. So I think this is the best.
Okay, Margot, quickly. Why is it the best Ivy League? And if you believe
Absolutely
that.
the best. You have no idea. It really is the best. And all of you students are the best for getting in and deciding to go. A lot of people think of Penn as being very pre-professional, partly because, at least at the undergraduate level, we have all these pre-professional programs. And it's true. People do think about your career. But it's worth remembering that all the programs together will give you such an extraordinary experience. I studied history of art and then went to work at an investment bank. One of my best friends at Penn, my roommate, is now a famous artist. You can't find that anywhere. That is just so extraordinary. The variety across the board, academically, in terms of the people you meet, is the best.
Thank you. Okay, so last question that I'll ask all of you. I asked the faculty, so they got a perspective on this. I asked the administrators. I'll ask the alumni. The same question, brief answers though. We'll end with Joseph because I want Joseph to finish his sentence earlier, so maybe he can wove this answer based on his last response. And Margot, since I can see your face now, what is a great Penn student? Quickly, what is a great Penn student? Go for it.
Me?
Yes.
A great Penn student goes with open arms, gives everything a try, makes friends, builds a network, works hard, plays hard, enjoys it, and ultimately joins a really wonderful community of alumni around the world for your life.
Great. Henderson, what is a great Penn student?
Quickly, as an all-round student, engaging, and who pays it forward. We're all here because someone else helped us. We all need to help others.
Thank you. Mavish, same question. What is a great Penn student?
I think every student is a great Penn student because they're bringing a unique flavor to the campus and they're adding diversity. But a great Penn student is someone who's really open to embracing new opportunities and continuously learning from other people.
Thank you. Shreya, what is your answer to the question?
Yes, I would say a great Penn student is anyone who's open to engage, learning and teaching about your culture, your world, sharing a bit of you, and becoming a part of this wonderful alumni network we have after.
Thank you. Tulani, what is a great Penn student?
graduate student is someone who's willing to tackle the biggest problems that are out there. We have a lot of alumni and a very good resources, and I think we are equipped to be able to do that.
Thank you. And Joseph, last but not the least, what is a great Penn student? And finish your
Two
sentence
words.
if you want. Yeah.
2 words: curious and proactive. Curious to pursue knowledge, to seek out all the opportunities to learn. So many academic disciplines. Proactive in seeking out relationships, in pursuing opportunities, and in availing yourself of the vast resources available on campus. And after you finish at Penn, the vast resources available to you as an alumni, as an alumnus of Penn.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Do you have any other? So that's it. I would like to thank Joseph, Margot, Tulani, Henderson, Sriya, and Mavish for a wonderful time. I know how busy you are all working, getting out of work just to engage with our new students. And we're looking forward to having you maybe in Shanghai or Mumbai or Delhi, or maybe in Africa or Europe or in the Americas soon for Forerunner. So with that, I would like to thank you. We would like to, don't leave yet, because we would like again to end this with a welcome of students from all over the world. You might see yourself here, folks, if you have not seen this video.
Welcome to Penn. I'm a Penn student from Philadelphia.
Welcome to Penn.
Mabuhay. 欢迎来到 Penn.
እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ. I am from Ethiopia.
Welcome to Penn. I'm from Los Angeles, California. We're from Penn Central. Welcome to Penn. Welcome to Penn. Welcome to Penn. Welcome to Penn. 欢迎. Welcome to Penn. Murakazaneza. Welcome to Penn. We're so excited to welcome you home. Howdy, buddy. Welcome to Penn.
मेरा नाम सैयद नोमान कादरी है और मैं शुक्रिया.
The Kenyans at Penn want to tell you Karibu Sana.
Again, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you all tomorrow as we engage with your parents and the high-level Penn administrators, and also join them too. Thank you very much, and thank you all to the Penn alumni. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mavish, Joseph, Margot, Henderson, Tulani, and Sriya. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Be safe, stay healthy.